Hey, brothers and sisters in the network of undeniable blessing, the Sierra Pacific Conference, the Free Methodist Churches of Northern California and Nevada. This is Superintendent Mark, and I'm just giving you a Happy New Year word of encouragement. At the stroke of midnight tonight, we're going to say goodbye to the year 2021. It's been a rough year, following a rough year. 2022 is likely going to be a rough year. I'm a little bit mindful of the comedian George Carlin, who once, in a very funny way, I think, pretended to be a weather forecaster as he said, "I predict in the coming evening, we will experience increased darkness, followed in the morning by emerging light." Well, we're still not out of a pandemic. We are still going through a number of deeply divisive issues in our country and in many of our communities. And sadly, that's seeped into many of our churches. But you know what? Jesus is the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. And he reminds us that we shouldn't worry really about anything, that we should seek the kingdom of God first and recognize that God really will take care of all the important details. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, about your body, what you will wear, for life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens, they do not sow or reap, they have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. How much more valuable are you than these birds? And who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Consider the wild flowers and how they grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all of his splendor was dressed like any one of these. And if that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? Do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Don't worry about it. The pagan world runs after all such things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Friends, we're not out of the pandemic, and many of the problems that we would hope perhaps would go away at the stroke of midnight tonight will still be with us tomorrow. But so is Jesus. Don't worry. God's got your back. And even through all of this hardship, I guarantee you will see the work of God in some amazing ways in the coming year. Our theme in 2021 was Emerge Victorious. We were coming out of such a dark time racially, a dark time politically, and a dark time physically, with so many people being sick and even dying of the coronavirus. But in the midst of all that, in the midst of a really hard year, 2021 turned out to be actually pretty good for our churches. I know some have struggled and some have excelled, but think about this. We were actually able to plant 2 new churches. Thank you, Iglesia de Restauración Familiar, for your passion for church planting in Turlock and in San Jose. In addition, we were able to plant new churches in Fiji, the first time there have ever been Free Methodist churches in the Fijian Islands. And that's taking off, and there are many people that are excited. We were able, through some decisive action by the Board of Administration of our churches, to bless the world in some significant ways. We helped provide the rebuild in Myanmar of the Light and Life Bible College, provided ongoing support for leadership development, and some significant aid as that country began to face even darker times than anything we can imagine in the USA, the violent coup. But we've been with them through prayer and financial support. We were able, as a conference, to put a roof on a struggling Free Methodist church in Ethiopia that sat under the shadow of a mosque. What a blessing. We were able to provide funds to launch a new Free Methodist movement in Pakistan, to provide national training for all the Latin area leaders in South America and Central America. We were able to provide significant seed money, pun intended, for Seed, one of our significant ministry partners. Thanks be to God. Some of our churches have even engaged in building projects, and I'm so proud of the Fernley Free Methodist Church, which, despite the pandemic and all the struggles, was able to raise enough funds and go through all the difficulties of building a new wing onto their church. Significant value add for our church in the Reno area. We were able to develop a new and fairly significant level of support for Hispanic emerging leaders in our network, providing new training for Hispanic leaders, forming a new Hispanic Ministerial Education and Guidance Board. And with the leadership of Miguel Nunez, able to bring in special speakers and provide resources for our Spanish language pastors in ways that we've never been able to do before. We've even added the leadership development coordinator, Brenda Mayen, who's able to support our MEG board, Ministerial Education and Guidance work, in significant ways with bilingual ministry and coordination. We put together new training support for pastors who coach other pastors in our development process, have fully engaged with some new and emerging work in the denomination for pastoral credentialing and training. We were able to see so many new and amazing things happen in so many of our churches. New pastors in transition, 3 of our churches over this past year. They've gone so well. Thanks be to God. I know some of our pastors, many of our members have been discouraged and have experienced lament for good reason and in significant ways over the past year. But God has sustained us. We aren't worried. God is with us. We have emerged victorious. And in 2022, we know as we seek first the kingdom, amazing things will happen because God's got our back and Jesus is on mission. And by God's grace, we're on mission with Jesus to accomplish the work of God in our area as we multiply spirit-led believers who lovingly belong and undeniably bless their world. You are a part of this. You are an undeniable blessing. May 2022 be the best year yet.